What would happen if I plug the electrode holder clamp into the negative terminal? Is there a correct way to plug in the cables on a welding machine? If we have an inverter welder and we connect the electrode holder clamp to the negative, nothing happens to the machine. But what happens with this? Depending on the electrode we have, that's how we can connect it to the machine. When we go to buy an electrode, its polarity may be listed on the box or whatever packaging it comes in. So that's how we can know if it can be used one way or another. Here I have a package or a bag, depending on what you call it in your country, of a 6013 electrode. This little bag gives us some information. For example, that the 6013 electrode can be used in all positions. And what types of current can we use it with? We have alternating current, which we won't talk about in this video because not all machines have it. We have direct current, straight polarity, and direct current, reverse polarity. So that means that with 6013 electrodes, you can weld in all three ways. On the little package we just saw for the electrodes, it says that it can be used with these three types of current, which would be alternating current, direct current, straight polarity, and direct current, reverse polarity. But what does this mean? Alternating current is a feature that welding machines have. Not all of them have it. Some do and some don't. What is this feature for? This feature allows the machine to switch polarity automatically. It means that, for example, we connect the electrode holder clamp to the negative and the ground clamp to the positive, and nothing happens because the machine switches polarity automatically. So knowing this, we know that we can plug in the cables anyway because the machine switches polarity automatically. When we connect the electrode holder clamp to the positive, this is known as reverse polarity. And when we connect the electrode holder clamp to the negative, this is known as straight polarity. What is the difference between these two currents? Or what is the difference in how to connect them? Now I'm going to put on my protective gear and show you how. Well, I'm going to start welding with reverse polarity. So, I'm going to place the electrode holder on the positive terminal. And I'm going to connect the ground to the negative terminal. Since I'm going to use a 6013 electrode of 2.5 millimeters, I'm going to set the machine to 55 amps. And I'm going to start welding these two little pipes that are 1.6 millimeters thick. And before welding, you should always have your welding gloves and helmet on. Now I'm going to switch the cables. We're going to put the electrode holder clamp on the negative and the ground clamp on the positive. And I'm also going to weld at 55 amps. Here I already have both of them welded. I welded one with straight polarity and the other with reverse polarity. I welded this one with straight polarity and this one with reverse polarity. One of the differences you can see at first glance is the slag. For example, with straight polarity, the slag is harder to remove. And with reverse polarity, it comes off by itself. As you can see, with reverse polarity, I didn't even have to hit it or anything to remove the slag. It just came off by sliding it. However, with straight polarity, I had to hit it to get the slag off. Another difference we can see is that, for example, with straight polarity, the bead penetrated deeper into the material. And with reverse polarity, it was more raised, like a mountain on the material. This means that with straight polarity, we will have more penetration into the material than with reverse polarity. We will have less penetration into the material. When we weld with reverse polarity, which means the electrode holder clamp is on the positive, 70% of the heat goes to the electrode and 30% to the material. And when we weld with direct current, which would be putting the electrode clamp on the negative, it would be the opposite. 20% of the heat would go to the material and 30% to the electrode. That's why, since there's more heat in the material, the weld penetrates deeper into the material. When we need to make penetration bead, we are going to use direct. That would mean putting the electrode holder on the negative side. If we need to weld thin material, it can be done either way. When I have to do a job where I need to weld thin things, I use it in the direct way. Because since it heats the material more, I can use less amperage and I don't burn through the material. To sum up a little, the choice of different currents depends on each welder. For example, for regular jobs, so to speak, I use reverse polarity. But when I need to weld, for example, a thin material, I use direct current because I can lower the amperage and I don't burn through the material. And I also use it when I need to weld thick iron and need good penetration. Depending on the electrode I use, for example, the rutile electrode that goes with direct current. And I use the basic electrode with reverse polarity. If we have an inverter machine, it doesn't matter the size. It doesn't matter if it's small, big, any kind. You can weld with both of these currents, but with a transformer machine, you can't. And if you like this video, don't forget to follow me. It would help me a lot.